Hey, Chuck, boss, man, tell me about this caper you got back in 1982 with Tingirides. Talk to me.
Philip Tangerides, my hero. You know, I only want to say to talk about Phil, how much I love him. Never worked with the guy.
Okay.
Never sat in the black and white with him. He and I are joined at the hips from 1982 to now. And every time we see each other, which is why I love this job, we just look at each other and we smile. His wife says, I don't know what it is about you and Phil, but you guys he just glows about you. If somebody mentions your name, he just glows. She said, what happened? I said, well, I was a mighty P3 with a P1 who happened to be driving that night, and we get a call in Wilshire, again, working 7A1, up on Doheny, as far north and west as you can go in Wilshire, right before you get to Beverly Hills. Some kind of 415 party or something. And Phil and his partner, Rick Smith, who would later be a lieutenant and who would also he was a lieutenant. His first night as a lieutenant, he was a lieutenant at Central Division, the 5th and Wall Collision.
Okay.
That's how we don't even want to talk about.
It's a whole
that.
different story.
Whole different story. But he was a P2 dog, barely off probation, and so was Phil Tangerides. They were P2 dogs, and these two P2s backed me up at Doheny, basically, and 3rd Street. We get up there, and the calls are nothing. Code forwarded, done, leaving, case closed. Case is nothing.
Okay.
So,
Code 4.
Code 4, we both leave Doheny.
Okay.
We both go southbound on Doheny in our black and whites.
Okay.
My probationer's driving. I'm doing the log, just kind of doing the log. I think I was putting the last name of the person that I talked to in there. And, you know, he didn't get to drive much, but I let him drive that night. Phil and his partner make a left on 3rd Street.
Okay.
They're going eastbound on 3rd Street, so they're a little ahead of us. We go up to San Vicente, and we make a left, and we're heading west and southbound. And if you know the area, and again, anybody out there, we're both heading east, but we're kind of going southeast, and they're going east on a regular east street. It's morning watch. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. They're working mid-PMs. There's not that many people on the street, and they have a lead on us, and that's important because I kind of forgot about them. All of a sudden, we're going down San Vicente, and we get to Robertson, and I hear this boom, and it's a shotgun. There ain't no question about it. And look, this is the crux of police work. And I'm looking at you, but I mean, this is why we do police work. I know it's a shotgun, and we got to go see what that shotgun is all about.
You got to go to the problem.
We're on San Vicente. I said, come on, Mike. Mike Burcham. We end up working together, Robbery Homicide Division. Yes, he's a writer for Major Crimes later on, but that's neither here nor there. He's a P1 boot driving my car. We make a left on Robertson, and we're going north, and I see these two white guys, big white guys. The fact that they're white has nothing to do with this story, but I'm going to say this. They're a couple big guys, almost as big as I am now. And these guys are running westbound, and they're reaching for the sky. I mean, they are running. I mean, you know they're running from something. I grabbed the mic. I put out an assistance call. Hadn't even turned the corner. Don't know what's around the corner. But I'm a P3. I've been doing this for a minute. I said, 781 requesting assistance on 3rd Street, east of Robertson, shots fired. That's all I said. I don't know what's happening. Just as we get to 3rd Street, I hear pow, 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 pow. We turn the corner right, and I see a black and white in the middle of 3rd and Casio, and there's fire jumping out of this black and white. And I said, 781 requesting help, shots fired, 3rd and Casio, officer involved. Hang up the mic, we roll up. It's Tingirides and Smith, and they're in a gun battle, and they don't even know I'm coming up behind them. I've already put out an assistance call. Now I put out a help call. I roll up. As soon as we roll up next to them, whatever they were doing is over. I look down, I look to the south, and I see this guy with a shotgun right across his chest, and there's a bullet hole right here in the middle of his forehead. Tingirides looks at me. He says, Charles, put out a help call. I said, already done. He says, I think I saw somebody run southbound. So I start setting up a perimeter and doing all this. Turns out it was the guy's dog, but that's okay. I'll mess with Phil about that later. But anyway, basically, the first unit there, the help call, was from Beverly Hills because they're closer.
Right.
Then the second unit was a sheriff because West Hollywood Sheriff was closer.
It's right there, too.
Now all our guys start showing up.
Cavalry.
And they get up. I get out. I'm the P3. I'm in charge. Look, no shame. Phil and Rick did their job. It was a great shooting. The shotgun blast that I heard, he shot at him, and the round went right over the top of the black and white and hit this window, and the window is still broken today, right on the north side of Casio, of 3rd Street at Casio.
Oh, wow.
And he put a round right over their head. One of them bailed out of the car, whoever the driver was. The other one was shooting from the car, and I think they fired 12 rounds, but they only hit him one time. But they hit him where it counted.
That's right.
They hit him right here. So I get out, and I'm going to use some cuss words here because that's actually, I use it. You can blank them out later.
It's tactical language, man.
We get out of the car. I get out of the car, and I'm actually the first one to get to the guy. And I'm thinking, okay, he got a bullet hole right here. Now, we put out a help call. Obviously, the world's coming. Mm-hmm. Paramedics are coming. Fire department's coming. Everybody's coming. I said, don't touch him. Leave him right there. Because to me, that son of a bitch is dead. Yeah. So we might as well leave the shotgun laying right across his chest.
Right.
Because remember, we didn't have cameras and stuff, but we didn't have camera phones. And the only people that had cameras were traffic guys.
Yeah.
And that was them old cameras with the little cubes on it that would have flash cubes and stuff. Nobody carried cameras, so you couldn't. So the paramedics show up, and the paramedics look at him, and they said, we got to transport him. So I get in an argument with the paramedics. I said, transport him? I said, that motherfucker's dead. He's dead right there. Well, no, I think we can save him. I said, save him? He got a bullet hole right in the middle of his head. He's dead. They said, no, we're going to transport him. I said, I looked around, found another rookie. I said, you, get in the ambulance with him.
Go with him.
They went right to Cedars-Sinai, 2 blocks away. Cedars-Sinai is 2 blocks away. In the meantime, everybody's getting there. Phil and Rick, they were in a daze. They did a great job, but they're in a daze. I said, just calm down. Calm down. Everything's going to be all right. First sergeant shows up. Won't mention his name. He says, oh, man, okay. Code 4, sufficient units, which I had already put out. He says, okay, we got to open up this intersection. He said, we got to move cars. I said, sorry, stop. We can't move any cars. This is officer-involved shooting. We got to leave everything the way it is.
Right.
There's bandages and stuff where the paramedics and stuff worked on this guy. In the meantime, I said, you know, we didn't have the protocols for how we handled the officers then. It wasn't like they necessarily got separated right away.
Right.
I said, sorry, what you ought to do is just go over there and talk to Phil and Rick and let me handle this right here, which he did, to his credit. And so then it's pretty much over until the P1 comes back from Cedar Sinai 30 minutes later. He said, he's white as a sheet. He says, Charles. He said, man, they pulled him in there and immediately they cut him and they opened his chest up. And I'm watching and they massage his heart and they said, dead. And the guy was dead and he comes back and he says, I said, that's just the way it happens, man. I looked at Phil, I looked at Rick, I looked at everybody around. I said, welcome to the Los Angeles Police Department, man. This is the way it works. And that was it. And Phil and I been joined at the hip ever since. And I love the guy, and it's just the way it is, man.
Thank you for sharing, boss.